With all our hearts, we pray and ask, God bless Anambra, God bless the shining light that we bear. We're the only ones to make her brighter, the only ones to make her better, the only ones.
That is there. Akpokuedike, Shasa.
Enyemaka anyị dị n'aha onye nwe anyị. Chineke ji ike niile. Anyị na-enye gị ekele n'otuto maka amara inyere onye ọchịchị anyị gọvanọ His Excellency Dr. Obiano o wee wuo ụlọ ezumezu maka ọdịmma nke ndị Anambra niile. Anyị na-ayọ biko ka ị gọzie ya bụ ụlọ ezumezu, gọzie ndị niile ga na-abata na-apụ n'ime ya, mee ka ọ bụrụ ebe a ga-anọ na-enwe ezigbo mmekọrịta, na-enwe ezigbo udo, na-enwe ezigbo nchekwa nke ndụ na ahụike nakwa ahịa akụ akụ na ihe enwe. Nye gọvanọ anyị ngọzi, amara gị na uju ma kịta ma n'oge niile site na Jesu Kristi onye nwe anyị. Gọzie ụlọ ọnụnwa, gọzie ndị niile ga-abata na ya n'afa Nna na Nwa na Mmụọ Nsọ. Amen.
It is with great pleasure that I officially commissioned this International Convention Center built by my administration. And I do that in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. With great pleasure, I would like to read the flag to commemorate this official commissioning of this edifice, the Anambra International Convention Center. I'll read what is written on the flag. This International Convention Center was initiated, completed, and officially commissioned on March the 9th, 2022 by His Excellency Chief Obiano, Governor of Anambra State, March 17, 2014 to March 17, 2022. To the glory of God.
It's my humble honor to be here as the author of the book Akpokuedike. I met Obiano in 2004 during the banking sector consolidation. At that time, the governor-elect, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, was the central bank governor and had introduced a mandate that all banks must raise their capital from a minimum of 2 billion naira to at least 25 billion naira. And Chief Dr. Obiano was then an executive director at Fidelity Bank. I have, as was introduced, I'm an investment banker, and I've been working in investment banking for the last 31 years, having started my career in New York, London, before coming to Nigeria to establish my company, Unveils. And Unveils at the time was advising another bank, FSB International, then run by Malam Mohammed Hayatuddin. And ultimately, we came to Fidelity Bank as a potential suitor for Fidelity to acquire FSB Bank. So in the process of that consolidation transaction, which we were advising, I worked intimately with Obiano and got to know him from then on. And that was how the relationship built on. Shortly after that consolidation, I think about 2012, he retired from Fidelity Bank and apparently relocated to America. It was only in the middle of 2013 that I was called on by Akpokuedike, the present Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, to say, please come and help me. Chief Obiano is going to be the candidate for ABGA, and he needs us to help develop an economic blueprint for Anambra State. So again, we were reacquainted, and in his house in Lagos, I was there many times, many nights, working on what was the initial structure of the 4 pillars and the 8 enablers that then fed into the manifesto. And ultimately, we are here today, 8 years later, and we are living and breathing the transformation he has visited on Anambra State. One of the first things His Excellency the Governor did was to do not physical infrastructure, but institutional infrastructure. It goes without saying that you cannot run a government without the appropriate institution. And the first institution is set up was ANSIPA, Anambra State Investment Promotion and Protection Agency. So upon the establishment of ANSIPA, which probably happened within 3 months of being sworn in as governor of Anambra in 2014, AfriInvest, my company, was invited to be a financial advisor and a fund manager to ANSIPA and work closely with the then pioneer managing director of ANSIPA and the pioneering chairman is late. Both of them are late now. So that was how that relationship began in 2014. Mark Okoye was then an executive director of ANSIPA, and we then formed the initial ideas of how you begin to actually take an idea into action and move the thought of, okay, we want to attract investors, but there's a very unusual environment where insecurity was rife in Anambra. I recall then when I would land in Enugu airport and rush to Oka for a meeting, by 4 or 5 p.m. I was eager to drive out of Oka because of the insecurity. These days, I come to Oka and I have a choice of 5-star hotels I can pick to stay on, and if I want to stay a week, I have no fear of staying here. So that's transformation. From that point, we laid out the idea of ANSIPA being what they call a one-stop shop. So when an investor comes into the state, they don't have to go to multiple ministries and departments and agencies of government to get approval for what they want to do. But through ANSIPA, which on its governing council has the appropriate commissioners, the Attorney General is there, the Secretary to the State Government is on the board, the Commissioner of Lands is there, Budget and Planning is there, Commissioner of Finance is there, Tourism and Culture. So you then find that investors only needed to come to ANSIPA and they immediately had a gateway into Anambra State. And through that arrangement, we have Linden Farms in Iwariam, which is probably 200,000 bird poultry farm, producing almost 10,000 crates of eggs a day, employing 200 people or so. We've got Koscharis Farms, we've got Excel Farms, we've got Chelsea Farms. There are lots of investments that have come into agriculture. And then we moved on to other sectors of the economy, and you already are sitting in one of them. Tourism is going to be big in Anambra State because you've now got the structure of a convention center, you've got hotels, you've got an international airport. It's just a question of building out the hospitality sector more efficiently and effectively, and that will become another massive employer of labor. Unfortunately, about 2018, the pioneering chairman of ANSIPA passed on, late Chief Cyril Enweze. And while we're still wondering what to do, His Excellency asked me to become the chairman of ANSIPA. I was very surprised, I was shocked. First of all, I'm from Enugu State, not Anambra State. When I reminded His Excellency that I'm not from Anambra, he said, I don't care, you're the best person for the job, take it. In his usual style, I took it, and from 2019 onwards, I've been the chairman of ANSIPA, and I continue to be so. So, Your Excellency, I'm eternally grateful for the opportunity to serve Anambra State. And in 2021, given that it was now 1 year, the penultimate year for the administration, I told His Excellency, I would like to write a book about you. I think I've learned a lot of things, a lot of practical experience of how you translate an idea into action. In my business, we talk about public-private partnership. We talk about raising capital. We talk about attracting investors. But actually, when you come on ground, you then meet what they call quicksand. You could easily be swallowed by the challenges on ground for you to implement your vision. But working with Chief Dr. Willie Obiano, I learned valued lessons of how you implement an idea and move it to action and have a reality, and we are sitting in one of those ideas. So that was what led to the thinking of writing the book. At that time, I then organized a team led by Chinua Asuzu. Chinua, are you in the room? I think he's here. And then he then organized maybe 10 or 20 young men and women who interviewed everyone that was working around His Excellency, all the MDGs, commissioners, the agencies, to build a full picture. I will not go into the book because that is a prerogative of Professor Sitobu, but that was how the book was written, and we had the first manuscript ready around September last year. But then the election for the governor-elect had not happened, and I put that on hold. I insisted that we must watch and wait and see the result of that election, because a leader is not successful until he achieves the appropriate transition he wants. And I knew, of course, the governor had selected Professor Chukwuma Soludo as his successor, who was the ABGA flag bearer. And once that election was concluded, we added the 15th chapter of the book and then went to publish. So, again, Your Excellency, Chief Willie Obiano, Your Excellency, Dr. Mrs. Ebelechiku Obiano Osedieme, I thank you both most sincerely for the opportunity to be of service to Anambra State and the opportunity to write this book.
Akpokuedike is my friend and junior brother. I hesitated not out of disrespect for the subject of the book or the author, but I felt that it was going to be one of those books simply chronicling the journey of a successful man produced very quickly in the twilight of a regime and lacking in intellectual rigor. But Ikechioke is a very serious and respected professional with a rigorous mind. But he has also now surprised me as a writer. This is not an ordinary biography of a great man. It is a portrait of what it takes to get to the top, weaved artistically to present a wholesome life with a menu of lessons. I am certain that the author did not realize that the book he has authored about his friend, His Excellency Governor Willie Obiano Akpokuedike, the governor of Anambra State, with all his squeaky clean image, will be a reference book on political recruitment, inclusive governance, loyalty and political fidelity, empathic and result-oriented leadership, and talent hunt for political positions. In this scintillating and educative odyssey, Ikechioke takes us to the roots, the family, the parents, the schools, the town or nature where he grew up. It is these things that instilled the discipline and forged the sterling character that underpinned the meteoric rise of Governor Obiano and his leadership style. It is also a story about love, triumph over adversity, and God's faithfulness to those that wholeheartedly trust in Him. And Ikechioke did not rely on Governor Obiano to tell his own story, nor did he sit alone to make up joyful stories. He and a handful of talented researchers tracked down those that knew Chief Obiano before and after being governor, to piece together an account that is at once diverse, logical, and authentic. This is therefore a well-researched book of 184 pages, 15 chapters, with fully documented bibliography and sources. The first lesson I take from the book, and this is why the book is important, and I think this is why people should read it. The first major lesson, and for me the most important one from this book, is that political recruitment requires a thorough background check. Our decisions and choices are a product of our culture and biology. An individual's moral philosophy in personal life and in governance is shaped by the same culture and biology. A person is who he is because of his parental upbringing, his socialization at home, in the church and schools he attended. Governor Obiano's parents, a teacher and a merchant, were disciplinarians deeply rooted in the Catholic faith. The young Madabro Chukwu was an altar boy who helped in household chores and helped his mother in her business. There was no room for truancy, and his parents could vouch for his behavior 100%. The schools Governor Obiano attended, Holy Trinity Primary School and Christ the King College, both at Onitsha, were not only known for academic excellence, they were institutions where respect and discipline, the ethos of hard work, were enforced and character molded. I should know I am a proud product of the Holy Trinity Primary School and was there about the same time that Akpokuedike attended the school. In fact, I had a problem with Choke because I said, how come I'm reading the book and discovering that the governor may even have been my classmate in the same Holy Trinity Primary School? Because in 1967, I was in primary 5. He probably was in primary 6, I don't know. But we were there about the same time. So we need to find a way to do our reunion after this. In the book, honesty, humility, simplicity, discipline, personal decency, joyfulness, forgiving spirit, prayerful, respectful, generosity, trustworthiness, and accountability were some of the words and phrases used to describe Chief Obiano's parents. And these were not simply words. Real stories were told to convey how they manifest in their daily interactions in business, in school administration, and in community and church leadership. Qualities they passed on to their children. Boys Scouts taught the young Willie Obiano responsible citizenship, perseverance, character development, leadership, and self-reliance. His self-assuredness came from being rooted in his culture. It was said that Teacher Obiano's children were models of responsible childhood. During the Biafran-Nigerian War, Governor Obiano learned from his father that the civil crisis should not stop learning. It was not surprising that the lockdown during COVID-19 did not stop learning in Anambra. This was Governor Obiano's pedigree. It is therefore not surprising that he rose to the pinnacle of his banking profession, retired without any blemish, and was searched and recruited to be the governor of Anambra State even after retirement. These same sterling characteristics informed his style of governance, his drive in office, and his penchant for results. Those who encouraged and supported Governor Obiano to run for office knew of this pedigree, knew about his character, knowledge, and professional accomplishments. To their credit, the governor did not disappoint. In his successor, Governor Obiano has also demonstrated that he understands the value of pedigree, knowledge, vision, character, experience, competence, and continuity for result-oriented political leadership. One of the banes of our democracy, and this is why this is an important lesson, is the poor and uninformed political recruitment process. There is hardly any background check. These days, once you have made some money, you want to be a governor. And more often than not, the ambition is without any agenda. You heard Choke say, they spend sleepless nights crafting an agenda. Some people want to be governor without an agenda. And our people will say, Ijebego, onye bu igu ka ewu na-eso. And I dare ask, are we goats? Does anyone care about the pedigree, character, experience, and knowledge of onye bu igu? Could the eagle be your last supper? Reading this book exposes one to what it takes to be prepared to successfully lead a people. And not just any people, a talented, knowledgeable, and enterprising people of Anambra. So that is a huge lesson. The pedigree that someone brings to the job of governance. Onyebu, your classmate, Kedu school ije, who are your parents? If we are going to marry, and you are Jews, when you be governor, and you say Onyebu, Kewu ges. There are unique leadership lessons. Speaking about leadership, Ike, through myriads of interviews conducted with close associates, colleagues, and appointees, weaves together a coherent story about Governor Obiano that reveals his humanity, kindness, and warmth. But he also astutely presents the book as the leadership text. On his humanity and kindness, Governor Obiano has no boundary. From his church in Bagada to his church in Aguleri, he tasked himself and his friends. From recognizing and donating to Old Rangers International Football Club players and pop stars of the 70s, gifts to amnestied prisoners, to pan-Igbo employment. There are Enugu people, there are other people in the employment of Anambra State. We saw an unbounded generosity. Interestingly, his wife, Ebele, was a co-traveler in this generosity binge. So if the wife was not supporting this, I don't think it would really have supported. So in this generosity, they were together. It is no wonder that one of his friends felt that unseen, unsung, and apostolic work of Obiano was what took him to the government house. I did not know that Akpokuedike was a chieftaincy title he got before he became governor until I read the book. Indeed, the hero, which is what Akpokuedike represents, was summoned several times by the church and community. And in all of those circumstances, he saved the day. More importantly, in writing about Governor Obiano, Ike presents a text that lists the great, somewhat unusual attributes of a leader. A happy fellow. Obiano is a jolly fellow. A great sense of humor. You have to have a sense of humor to be a great leader. Exacting standards. He demands a lot from those who work for him. He has enthusiasm and passion. Self-assuredness, really dresses to be happy and not to conform. Simplicity, at home with all classes of people. Ambitious goal setting, big picture guy that brutes no excuses, you just have to deliver. Ability to pick a winning team, generosity, dual concern for the people and the land. This is the philosophy of the government. A giant dreamer, willing to take gigantic risks, and now the audacity of history. The Biafran War Memorial, Ozemesna, it was really an audacity of history. In the rest of the book, Ike presents the achievement of Governor Obiano in key areas in a credible and balanced manner, using third-party impartial observers. Key functionaries and beneficiaries in security were treated to the genesis of Operation Unkocha and its many achievements, the use of CCTV, the deployment of street lights and complete surveillance of the state by sea, air, and land. At one time, Anambra was judged the safest state in Nigeria, and the actions of the governor debunked the helplessness most governors claimed. In agriculture, the focus was on key crops, where it was felt that the state had a comparative advantage with the right bias in favor of commercial farming. Tremendous results have been recorded with rice production, for instance, jumping from 70,000 metric tons in 2014 to about 340,000 45,000 metric tons in 2020 and about 500 metric tons in 2021. Similar meteoric rise in output has been recorded in cassava, maize, nuts, spices, and some of which are now destined for export. Other impressive initiatives were in Efibo and poultry. The key point in all of this, according to Ikechioke, is the creative partnership between the state and the private sector that was constructed to produce these impressive results. Second, the detailed identification of the problems, a follow-through in the implementation of agreed solutions, and the involvement of the beneficiaries were some of the unique attributes of the Obiano administration that the author noted.
This is an extraordinary occasion. An extraordinary occasion to celebrate an extraordinary human being. Because I believe that from every measure, we had all the legacies that Governor Obiano is leaving behind in Anambra State. We've heard them from Judo, from my good friend who's spoken, and from Professor who reviewed the book in a very learned way. I myself have had the pleasure of reading the synopsis of the book. And everything I read in the synopsis of the book confirmed my personal view and knowledge of Willie Obiano, his sense of mission, his vision, well formed even before he got to the government house in Orca. Willie Obiano must be one of the most prepared leaders that our country has ever had. And when I say prepared leaders, I'd like to reflect what Ostobu himself mentioned about one of the important lessons from the book, the lesson of how to choose and how to prepare for office. It is much more common in other parts of the world that I've been familiar with, in the United Kingdom, in Australia, in India, in Canada, and all these places, you find that before somebody aspires to leadership in governance, that person has given a lot of thought to what he would want to do, what he or she would want to do if elected to office. And we heard from Ikechioke how he and his team, under the inspiration of Willie Obiano, worked to prepare the basis for governance that Willie Obiano entered into. I have the greatest pleasure in associating myself with Governor Willie Obiano in the last few years. I must say that I did not know him. I knew his predecessor. And when his predecessor came to me and told me about the prospective Governor Willie Obiano of of Anambra State, I said, it sounds excellent what you are telling me. But of course, when I met the man himself and saw him perform in his office, I saw and felt that all I had heard were indeed understatement of the man's vision and the man's ability. There is very little doubt that his administration has transformed Anambra State in very important respects. We had comments about the security, we had comments about the infrastructure, and indeed we have the pleasure of remaining in this, sitting in this building, which, as we were told, and I believe could be fitted into any part of the world. When I stand here and look at this enormous building, I think of the People's Hall in Beijing. I think of conference rooms in Washington. And I would say that I do not think that there is in the United Kingdom a conference room of this magnitude. Willie Obiano, His Excellency Akpokuedike, is leaving behind legacies that will continue to serve the peoples of this state for many, many, many years to come. And for that, we are all grateful to him and to his partner in the endeavor, Ebelechukwu, Her Excellency Ebelechukwu Obiano. She, from all accounts, has been a wonderful partner, a partner in action, and a partner in inspiration. I would want to say for myself a big thank you to Her Excellency Ebelechukwu Obiano for her role in encouraging and supporting her husband to serve Anambra State and Anambra people as well as he has done. I wonder how a man who's been so active will spend his time in retirement. I myself retired from office 21 years ago. And these days I can put up my legs and read and occasionally write. But Governor Willie Obiano is retiring at a very young age, in my view, and I would like to believe that there will be more challenges ahead of him, which he will, with his characteristic vision and enthusiasm, embrace. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say in conclusion that it is for all of us a great deal of pleasure to be here today to celebrate the indisputable achievements of His Excellency Governor Willie Obiano Akpokuedike and his partner, Her Excellency Mrs. Belechukwu Osodieme, which I believe Osodieme is a very fitting title because it means working, joining, and partnering with your husband in his efforts. Thank you all very much.
Respected Universal, whether you are watching him on television, listening to him on the radio, or just within the sound of his voice, when he speaks, you know it can only be him. Your Excellency, we thank you very much. We're going to be calling on you again shortly when we unveil the book. I don't really have much to say on this occasion because sometimes one is so completely overtaken and overawed by the situation that you are lost for words. And following His Excellency Adasio Obusi is always a very difficult task. But I'll just say a few words, from my own personal perspective. First of all, I have to say that by the grace of God, I was part of Chief Obiano's journey in the last 8 years as governor of Anambra State. Indeed, I was part of it before we even knew he would be a governor. Because a few days after he retired from Fidelity Bank, I had a dream, and true, I had a dream. And I was told, thank God, here comes the next governor of Anambra State. So we went through the process in Anambra North, our senatorial zone, between the traditional rulers and the chairman of the town unions. It was a rigorous process to produce 3 names to recommend to the ruling party as our recommendation. And we did. But I told my colleagues at the processes that the next governor of Anambra State was not in the process we're going through. So the list we're submitting to the ruling party, we'll do it as a matter of formality. But the next governor had not emerged, was not in the process. And indeed, Obiano was not in that process. And today, we're celebrating him as the man who has ruled Anambra State most successfully for the past 8 years. So if any did not catch him, or choose Anambra State, and God gave him the empowerment to do that. And like already said, he came well prepared. He's an accountant of world class and an auditor, international auditor for that matter. So he has a way, or he's been trained to look into a pile of information and get the essence of it. But also, he was a banker and a manager in a large corporation. So he brought all of these to bear in his governance of Anambra State. And he always told me that all he wanted to achieve could be defined in a very simple term. That day or night, 24 hours a day, when you open an Anambra State, anybody in Anambra State, wherever, should feel safe and secure. And if that were to happen, opportunities for investment will come, business will come, Anambra State will boom, will be a happier life for everybody. Because what is the purpose of government is to improve the well-being of the people. And I think he set about doing that, and I think he has achieved that. I don't want to enumerate everything else about education, agriculture, etc., because it's all there, and it's in the books, and if you go around, you see them. But 2 things I'd like to say. The legacy projects, this place we're in today, airport, Oka Stadium, I've had the privilege of being with the governor from the beginning, laying the foundation stone, and visiting regularly to see progress of work. The last time I was here was about 3 weeks ago, and the amazing progression from the 3 weeks ago is just fantastic. And I think you have to give it to him. The time frame, project on time, on budget, and on everything, on specification. But the last thing I should say, because as chairman of the State Council of Traditional Rulers, I've also worked with him at that level. And he's given us unqualified support to the Traditional Council. We've held our meetings under him every month. We've held our meetings for the whole period in our government. We've held our annual seminars, except when the COVID pandemic came into place. And from the perspective of the Traditional Rulers Institution in Anambra State, I would think that his greatest achievement has been that he presented over 60 certificates of recognition to traditional rulers. That meant that all those 60 traditional institutions either were vacant or had been in dispute for so many years. And it had the courage to step in, resolve the disputes, and let's have the leadership. So the institution today is better off than it was ever since the fact he has recognized more traditional rulers in his term than all his predecessors put together, including the military regime and so on and so forth. So his legacy is unquestionable, and the foundation or the edifice he has added on. Anambra is an edifice that will be in constant building and development. He's done his own part, and I think he's left indelible marks for his predecessors to follow.
It is with great pleasure and gratitude to God that I'm unveiling the book written on my administration by a very famous industrialist and financial guru, Akpokuedike. And I do that in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
The book is coming to a close. I invite the photographers to please take these pictures properly now that everybody is here. The former Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chief. We have entered the second phase of this event.
Because of you, Anambra is walking, Anambra fire first. If I want security, Anambra is safe.
support from virtually all the Anambra people and beyond. And I remain very grateful for that. However, if I'm going to give award to the Anambra, it certainly will be in the kinds of things I promised to do for them that I have done. But beyond that, we still have to select a representative of the Anambra to honor them. I want to place on record that this is my award to some deserving the Anambra representative of the other people. The categorization of this award, Grand Commander Merit Award, is my own categorization for today. It is not backed by any law in Anambra State. But as a governor, I can select and honor anybody that I found that will encourage and motivate other people, including himself. On this note, I would like to call the people organizing this second segment of the award, second segment of this event to please flag off.
Commander Medal. Put your hands together for Akpokuedike. Who is not just an entrepreneur, but an employer of people. Put your hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're talking about. Now, Chief, you must make a man, Chief. The boy is good. Yes. Put your hands together for His Excellency. The boy is good, very close to. Yes. As Akpokuedike is receiving these, the Acting His Excellency, Chief on His Excellency, Bishop 2, Obiano, CO2 Island, represented by Honorable Princess Akpokuedike. Yes, Princess Akpokuedike to receive on behalf of the. Ladies and gentlemen, as Akpokuedike is receiving, it will be my single honor to invite yet another great distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, senator representing the good people of Anambra Center in the red chambers. And as Theo is receiving the most eloquent, the most vibrant, the most handsome, the best speaker in the entire Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, the speaker I invite, ladies and gentlemen, the former Minister of Health. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Akpokuedike. This one is a Grand Commander Award. I understand Grand. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, let's the award. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to invite Patrick from Equator, SAN. Let's invite Honorable can you put your hands together for this service commanders? photograph with His Excellency. What His Excellency has achieved in security is remarkable, and these men and women made it possible. He personally asked them to come to the stage to take a good photograph with him. Everybody wants to have Adimoroka, Ernest Adimoroka, Patricia Akpokuedike, Master Patricia Akpokuedike, Melie Onyejeku, Kauna, Chief Sir Chikode Anambra.